So, hey, I'm Guillaume Casanova. I lead the commercial division here at BayWa RE, and it's a pleasure to have you on board. We're going to have an exquisite crew presenting a little bit of some product rollouts and what to expect for 2021. Without further waiting, I'm going to introduce everybody. So we have Ben from SolarEdge on the line. He is the director of their C&I division. Ben, if you want to wave, say hi. How you doing?
Good morning and good afternoon to everybody who's joined in.
Depending on what you log in, it could be the afternoon and the morning. And then we also have Jonah and Ted from Unirac joining us. How you guys doing?
Good. Hello, everyone. Hello, everybody.
Good stuff. And then last but not least, we also have Thomas Nielsen and Tosho from J Solar.
Hey, everybody. Hello. Nice to be here.
Good stuff. Well, thanks all for coming on board. So this is the first webinar on the commercial C&I division of the year for BayWa, and we're going to have many more, but we decided to invite you all. The format is a little bit different than some of the other webinars or where there's just one participant here. We wanted to bring in 3 of our major partners and have them share updates on what's happening in the C&I product landscape, right? And so we're gonna have Ben starting with a 15-minute little presentation about what's happening on the SolarEdge front, followed with Ted and Jonah from Unirac introducing one of their newest product line for rooftop. And so something pretty exciting to look forward to. And then we'll finish with Thomas, another 15 minutes looking at panel changes, new products for 2021. It's an exciting year where the industry is migrating from the standard 72 cells to bigger modules, more power on the roof. So we'll be looking toward understanding timelines and delivery of these, so our EPC partners can plan all the way. All right, Ben, I guess maybe I'll leave it to you to start off, and oh, before I go, actually, I'm gonna make sure I talk about Q&As. Feel free to send questions through the chat. We'll be answering them either live from the panelists, or at the end we'll have a little Q&A session for the last 10 minutes. All right, without further ado, Ben, it's on you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Guillaume, and thank you to the BayWa team for inviting us and having this great opportunity to present to everyone out there. So we will talk a little bit about SolarEdge, and as Guillaume said, we're going to show a couple of different things that we haven't shown in the past. And this is really our sorry, I'm just advanced. So I'm Ben Frank, as Guillaume mentioned, the director of National C&I Sales at SolarEdge. And these are the things that we're going to talk about today. Just a quick overview of SolarEdge by the numbers. We will talk about our global manufacturing capability. Again, not something that we've presented a lot in the past. We'll actually have a quick video hosted by our CEO. A quick overview of SolarEdge commercial solutions, including our newest products that will be coming out over the next few quarters. We will talk about a new program that we launched towards the end of last year called Advantage. So a very, very interesting program that's ties to optimizers. And then we'll show you a couple of case studies that are of interest to the commercial world. So SolarEdge by the numbers, we are the #1 inverter company in the world by revenue. We have 60 million plus optimizers installed in the field. We have 2.5 million, almost 2.5 million inverters, 21 gigawatts of systems installed around the world, and we're approaching close to 3,000 employees. Actually, I think we recently just surpassed that, so it's a little bit out of date. And we have many, many patents awarded and many hundreds more that are coming. So a lot of activity on the SolarEdge front. And as I said, we do have this quick 2 or 3 minute presentation of a new plant that we've unveiled in 2020. And I'll let this roll here. Hopefully everyone can.
That this industry is mature and can service the market even in extremely challenging times. Smart energy, and solar in particular, have proven to be an excellent investment for home and business owners. And I believe that the demand for solar in a climate and world where backup and grid independence is growing in importance will continue to accelerate. We jointly have a lot to be proud of and a lot to look forward to. In fact, I believe, as early signs in Europe indicate, that investments in solar PV, including storage, all around the world will be one of the key drivers for economic recovery in 2021 and beyond. I'm speaking to you here from Sela 1, our brand new automated manufacturing facility in the northern part of Israel on the outskirts of Nazareth. Here, we are producing inverters and power optimizers with cutting-edge automated production lines, enabling us to ensure high-quality new products will be delivered to you faster and tariff-free. Sela 1 is an example of our commitment to driving adoption of renewable energy globally.
Summary of our different manufacturing facilities around the world. We do have 5 plants, and we work with some global partners on manufacturing, as well as our R&D centers that also have 5 locations around the world. So it gives you an idea of the global footprint of SolarEdge, and also of our increased manufacturing capacity that we have currently, and that we plan to continue increasing over time. So having gone through the manufacturing, I do want to talk about the SolarEdge commercial solution. This is a good summary slide that shows our optimizers going from 605 to 1100, our inverters as they are today from 9 kilowatts up to 100 kilowatts, and of course we have our monitoring platform. So why do folks use SolarEdge on commercial projects? There's really 4 or 5 key reasons. The first is we do increase energy production because of our maximum power point tracking. We do have a lot of flexibility in design, right? We can do longer string lengths. We don't care about azimuths and angles and orientations. And we also are very, very strong in mitigating shade, which could have a potential impact on production. Of course, safety is a big part of what we do, and meeting the latest and in fact exceeding the latest and greatest NEC 2017 and 2020 code compliance. That was really the DNA of SolarEdge. Customers do love us, particularly on commercial rooftop projects, because it's very easy to redesign with SolarEdge, even on the fly for installers. And then last but not least, the module level monitoring and performance capability that you get out of the SolarEdge platform. So with that, let me just talk a little bit about how that's different than traditional inverters, or what we sometimes like to call legacy string inverters. The first thing is reduced energy production. So strings typically, with a legacy inverter, typically track to the lowest performing module in that string or PowerPoint tracker, right? So if you have a situation where one module is underperforming for whatever reason, whether it's dirt, blown bypass diodes, shading, that will impact that entire string or that entire MPPT, bringing down your overall system production, right? Also, less flexible design. I talked about that in the previous slide. So you do have limited string lengths. All strings have to be the same. They do have to be pointed in the same direction, same orientation, and you do want to have the same module wattage. And if at all possible, you want to avoid shading because of the previous comment. So, what ends up happening, and quite common in rooftop projects, site is designed, the installers go up on site and say, wow, there's a obstruction here I didn't expect. What do we do now? Now you have to do a redesign. SolarEdge flexibility, easy enough to do a redesign, but because of some of the restrictions of the legacy inverters, they will have to go back to the engineering company or the engineers and have them do a re-layout. Where am I going to put those extra modules? So definitely one of the limitations, and you could see it may impact the overall system size. No module level monitoring or performance data. So that's, key thing of what SolarEdge could do. Very, very difficult to do, or not even possible to do with a legacy inverter. And then lastly, meeting safety and code compliance. Yes, there are third-party solutions that you could get basic, adherence to NEC code, but not to the level of SolarEdge. So having gone through that, I do want to talk about, so what is different? I mean, there's many things different about SolarEdge, but the obvious one is the use of an optimizer. So we often get questions about what, this is an extra component. I'm concerned about it in the field, something else that could break, what can SolarEdge do? So as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, we have released a new program. It's called Advantage. It is a peace of mind program that applies for the first 2 to 2.5 years of the project, and it's specific to optimizers. And basically what it means, whether you're a system owner or an EPC, what it means is we will cover, if you do have an optimizer issue, we will cover the lost production as well as the truck roll and site costs to replace it. We expect it to follow a schedule of going a couple of times a year, and through our amazing monitoring portal, we will keep track of the lost production. So at the end of the period, all you do is you send an invoice to SolarEdge, and we will make you whole. So there won't be any more issues or concerns about, hey, what happens if an optimizer fails? So that's the Advantage program. Next, I want to talk about some of the new inverters. So I talked about manufacturing. We talked about the Advantage program. And I want to talk about some of the new inverters that we are going to be releasing this year over the next few quarters. So today we have on the 208 side, we have our 9 kilowatt 14.4. We also have a 20 kilowatt 30 and a 33.3 for 480. The new offering will be a 17.3 kilowatt at 208 and also a 40 kilowatt at 480. And you can see the new inverters are 25-30% lighter and more or less the same size. So physically similar dimensions. And another really cool thing, we get a lot of questions about being able to oversize above the current 135%. We will be able to do 150% oversizing. And then the other neat thing that we added, we made standard higher level of surge protection built in on RS-45, DC side, as well as AC. So you see SPD, that stands for Surge Protection Device. So we added additional surge protection capability above and beyond what's required by UL code for all of those 3 parts of stuff that gets connected into the inverter. And lastly, but not least, we can now do 3-wire connections. You don't have to have that neutral connection like in previous the current inverter. So you can do a neutral connection, but not necessary with the new inverter. Likewise, the Synergy. So when we talk about Synergy, what that is, that's our modular platform where we have multiple 33 kilowatts or 14.4 kilowatts tied together with a single combiner to give you a much higher wattage modular inverter. So we're moving from or introducing on the 208 side, going from the 43.2 to the 50 kilowatt, and the 66 kilowatt and the 100 kilowatt will go to 80 and 120. So you can see the building block now is 17.3 and 40 versus the 14.4 and 33.3. Again, similar physical size, much lighter. We've already heard feedback from some initial adopters who love working with it, even for large ground mounts, because it's much lighter. A single installer could carry it. And then the same surge protection and AC connection capability. A few other data points on the new inverters. I talked about the lighter size, so easier to install, easier to handle. I talked about the oversizing. Now we will have 4-string fused inputs, right? Previously it was 3 strings unfused. Now it's 4 strings and fused. The other thing, if we look at the synergy inverter, so that's again the modular one where you have multiple units tied together, there's a pre-commissioning capability. And the pre-commissioning capability means that if your customer's got their site set up, you've got it installed, but you don't have AC power yet, you could still do the optimizer pairing without AC grid, right? So we have the capability with that inverter to do pre-commissioning even without AC grid. And then we talked about the 4-string fused inputs and the surge protection. And we have added other capability like PID, that's the degradation of modules. We'll be able to mitigate that with built-in capability in that inverter. So we talked about inverters. We talked about our manufacturing capability. We talked about Advantage. I just want to show a couple of case studies. So if you go to our website, and this is the link, SolarEdge website, US Solutions Commercial, very easy to find on our website. We have a bunch of case studies. Many customers ask for references or referrals of projects that we've done, customers that we work with, and we have a bunch of case studies. I'm just going to highlight 2 of them to give you an idea of how we set up our case studies from our wonderful marketing group. So I'm showing one case study here is it's a healthcare site in Connecticut. And let me just read a quote from the end customer who actually owns the site. It said, "We chose SolarEdge to supply the inverters and power optimizer for this project for several reasons. First, its state-of-the-art technology produces more electricity in cloudy regions like the Northeast due to superior design and increased energy output by tracking the maximum power point of each module. Plus, using reliable and NEC 2017 compliant products from SolarEdge results in a safer system with rapid shutdown and higher system uptime." So that's from Alex Dembitzer from Skyrem. He's the owner of this system, or his company owns this system. It's a 1.2 megawatt rooftop. A lot of other great data in there. Again, please check that one out. And the other one is a high school up in Minnesota. I think it's in Minnesota, Minneapolis. And this is with let me read a quote from the managing partner of our customer, C2 Energy. This is from Candace Mikhalowicz. "We care about long-term success of our clients' projects. We chose SolarEdge for their ability to meet NEC rapid shutdown, their high quality, and exceptional safety record in the market. SolarEdge products maximize energy production while protecting our customers from the pitfalls of non-MPPT solutions." So again, lots of great data in that case study as well. Please look at that. There are others on carports, rooftops that you can find on our website. And last but not least, in summary, I think you've heard went a little bit too far. Let me go back. So I think you heard a pretty common theme on a lot of the slides that I presented. Why do customers use SolarEdge? We maximize energy yield. We have the design flexibility, reducing balance of system, larger system installs, the safety, and the lower O&M costs because of the monitoring capability. So with that, thank you very much. I'll hand it back to Guillaume and look forward to everyone's questions.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate your presentation. Very, very well done. Very thorough. Apart from maybe we had a little hiccup. Sorry about that for the video sound. I saw a couple of questions on the chat. I think there's one for you, Ben. If now that you don't need to talk, you might have the time to answer it. Otherwise, we'll take question at the end. We're going to move forward and bring Ted and Jonah on the line so that they can talk about their new product, the GridFlex product. Ted, Jonah, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Guillaume. Hello, everybody, and thank you for having us on and your interest in Unirac. My name's Ted Bleecker. I'm Director of Commercial Development in the East Coast. Jonah Coles is Director of Customer Solutions really our product guru, if you will, out in Colorado. So we welcome you to learning more about Unirac. Many of you know about Unirac, but a quick lowdown is we're headquartered in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We've got regional offices in Colorado, where our R&D lab is located, and Ohio. We have over 7 gigawatts of experience, over 750,000 installations in residential and commercial space, and very diverse customer portfolio. We work from small mom and pop installers all the way up to major project developers in the commercial space. And we've got a very sophisticated supply chain. I know that's important in today's world. We have global sourcing on every major continent except for Antarctica. So we've got a very diverse and great supply chain. We are boasting a 6-day delivery on all product. So we have a great inventory and keep up with demand. So one of our pieces we want to explain here is how Unirac is, we are more of a solutions company. This project here that we're showing is Mandalay Bay, which is 6.4 megawatt DC project in Las Vegas. This was done with our RM10 product, 10-degree tilt and landscape. And we worked through this project on multiple fronts, from project support, layout support, we had engineering support, and of course, with the project this size, we had on-site install support. We are more than just a manufacturer. We want to express to you that our project solutions have a deep bench of support for you. That includes layout assistance from the very start to project management support throughout your permitting phase, and then site specific installation support to help you. Our second project here is a project in Illinois, Keystone Display. We were approached by a customer for the ballasted portion for this project with EcoFoot, and we gained their acceptance for the metal roof as well. There were very low PSF requirements for the metal roof. They could not use a rail-based system, so we ended up providing our Metal X system for a very low 2 PSF range installation here. Turned out great. Customer loves it. There is a testimonial on the Equilibrium website that you can also check out. And then the Food for Less project is our dual tilt, RMDT, and that is a project that was originally designed for a south-facing ballasted solution. We went to east-west when we realized that the customer design had incorrect roof dimensions, and we had to keep the KW system the same size. So we were able to provide our east-west system there to meet their target requirements. As far as our team, really what we'd like to impress with you folks in the commercial sector, Unirac traditionally is known in our 20 years of experience of being in business as a resi, racking supplier. With our acquisition of Equilibrium in 2020, we are looking to grow and double our commercial business. So it's really important, and what we've done with our team is provide a focused C&I team, almost like an incubator within our company to service the needs of commercial. So different from residential as far as the project support up front, what we provide you through layouts and engineering to get you to permitting. It's a long haul, and we are there to support you with the resources to make it happen. And with that, I'm going to hand it off here to Jonah, who's going to talk a little bit about our product and introduce you to one of our new products.
Thanks, Ted, and thanks everybody for joining. This slide here is just showing an overview of our product offering. And the main idea to impart here is that we really do have a solution for every type of C&I project out there. And we have the team that Ted just mentioned to help guide you to the right solution for your project. For example, in the ballasted flat roof segment, we have 6 products now. With the acquisition of Equilibrium Solar, which is where Ted and I both came over in July to Unirac, we added quite a bit. And then shortly, we're going to talk about GridFlex a little bit and introduce that for anybody that hasn't seen it, and introduce you to some webinars that you can go to learn more about the new GridFlex product. But those are really the 2 big new things going on at Unirac. In the middle of the pandemic, Unirac invested heavily in buying Equilibrium Solar and building this commercial team and really creating a new focus on commercial and really wanting to be a major player, building the back end so that we can turn around projects quickly. Got great design tools. So if you're not sure, for example, if a EcoFoot 2 Plus 10-degree south-facing system or RM10 might be better for your specific project, we can quickly run those and compare them and show you the ballasting or attachment count, for example, or the PSF if your project has a specific PSF requirement for the roof, which they often do. We can help guide you to the right product to suit your project. And these are products that, especially the RM and EcoFoot line, that have been around and are very popular in the what we call the Bay system, kind of the Bay style, where the modules are connected by these modular bays that join modules, really 4 modules together and create that system. They're very popular because they're very easy to install. They go down quickly. We also have MetalX that Ted mentioned is a railless metal roof application. Of course, Unirac is very deep in the world of rail, so any type of pitched roof, Unirac can support tilt-ups, as well as ground mounts. So we've got the ULA, GFT, and then also EcoFoot is often used on the ground for example, on a landfill that's covered over. We have a lot of customers using EcoFoot because it's so easy to put down and you don't have anything growing there. We've got one in the works that they're putting AstroTurf over a landfill, and EcoFoot's a perfect product for that, just as an example. But these systems, we do have a lot of them, and we want it to be kind of our headache to try and help you figure out what the best system is, rather than you having to go out to the broader market and do a bunch of research and get quotes from a bunch of different places. We feel like we're a one-stop shop with a team in the background to help guide you to the right solution. So that's kind of the overview, and now we'll talk more specifically about the new and exciting product, GridFlex. So this is a system overview in the limited time here. We're not going to go over all of the product details, but we do have a few webinars that I mentioned that can fill in that gap for you. So GridFlex is a grid or rail-based system for flat roofs, a ballasted system. And there are some other grid-based or rail-based systems out there for flat roof. It's kind of the old way of doing installs, and we're coming back to it a little bit. Before the Bay systems came out, the flat roof world, and I came up and installed plenty of rail-based, sort of clunky, really early flat roof systems that were out there. And then these Bay systems came along, and installers, including myself, just loved how fast they went in, how easy they are to configure. You don't spend much time figuring out also how they go together. There's a lot of pre-assembly, very intuitive install. So with GridFlex, the idea is to bring all of those advantages of the Bay system to a grid-based system with pre-assembled clamps, modular designs. You can go around obstructions. Earlier, Ben mentioned how common it is to have to move modules around on a roof. I think it's probably more common to have to do that than not. And GridFlex is just as easy to accomplish that as any of the base systems there. So lighter, faster, more secure. That's our tagline for GridFlex. It's really built for speed, but also strength. So building a system with the strength for better load sharing which ultimately reduces the amount of ballast or attachment count, reduces the frequency of needing attachments to hit a low PSF requirement. So that's the idea of GridFlex. It is brand new. We have our 5-degree system out now. It's in stock. So Ted mentioned supply chain, that applies to GridFlex. 10-degree is coming in this summer. Supply in August, but we will be able to design in April or May for projects that will be going in August or later. And it's got all the bells and whistles, UL certification, fire system classification, really good high corrosion materials or resistant to corrosion materials, Galvalume and G180 with aluminum and stainless steel. So it's a really good system, and we're very excited about it. It's launching right now. We just installed the first project last week. So something we're very excited about that's new. And then Ted, if you'd advance, I'll just go through the webinars that we're having. We already had the first 2, but they are recorded, and I'll put a link in the chat to those recordings as well as signups for the new webinars or the webinars we have not yet done. So we've already done the overview. We did a design and engineering. Coming up next week on the 10th, Wednesday, we've got installation process tips and tricks. That's really a hands-on type of webinar for those that are actually working with the product. And then February 24th is an interesting one where we'll be talking about wind tunnel testing. We'll have a guest speaker from IFI, which is the firm in Germany that did our wind tunnel test for GridFlex. And they'll be going over kind of a little behind the scenes into wind tunnel testing, how it's done, how the values and coefficients are gathered, and then also how we apply that to the system. So that's going to be a really interesting one, and we encourage you all to join. So yeah, stay in touch. This is how you can contact us. Ted mentioned we've got a huge team ready to support your projects, and also a very large slate of solutions, and we can help you find that right solution. So you can use our online design tools or just submit a project to us and we can help you through it.
Thanks for your presentation. I think there are a couple of questions for you on the chat. We're going to move on to the JA Solar part of the presentation and then have the Q&A session. But Ted, Jonah, if you read the question, you can type an answer. If you think you can answer coherently on the chat, otherwise we'll come back to them afterward. Thomas, welcome on the line. It's your turn to go. JA Solar has some new products rolling out over the summer, I believe.
That's right. Thanks, Guillaume, and thanks to everybody who joined the call. Nice to be chatting with everybody today. My name is Thomas Nielsen. I am Director of Sales on the West Coast of the United States. I'm joined on the call today as well by Toshu Galatu, our Senior Support Engineer in the US. I'm going to run a little bit through our product roadmap and module capacity expansions for 2021 into 2022 and beyond. So nice to be with all of you today. Okay, quick intro to JA Solar, founded in May 2005, Fortune 500 company in China. Market share at about 8.3%, 50 gigawatts in cumulative shipments as of Q2 2020, around 33,000 customers worldwide, 22,000 employees, and 12 manufacturing bases. JA has grown significantly since 2005, and particularly in the US. We're moving around 1.3 gigawatts annually to the US from our South Asia manufacturing bases, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And we work with leading customers across the utility, commercial, distribution, and residential market channels. JA is globally and in the US probably at a number 2, number 3 spot from a module capacity perspective. Let's move towards the products a little bit. This gives you kind of a quick summary of the cell efficiency roadmap going forward from 2020 to 2022. The main product that's offered in the US here is the PERC type, PERC mono product, ranging in a cell efficiency here from about 22.8 to 23.4 in 2022. The module efficiencies are going to be from about 19.5% to 21% across a few different products that we're going to step into here. So quick overview of the cell efficiencies here. Fun fact with respect to JA is that it started out as a manufacturer of solar cells and supplied solar cells to a lot of the leading module manufacturers that you know today. And it transitioned to essentially module production in 2010, 2011. You know, our cell capacity is roughly equivalent to our module capacity today, and particularly for the U.S. market, every module that we manufacture essentially has a JA cell in it. So we have kept our start as a company as a cell manufacturer and transfer that into our modules. So we kind of control the production of both aspects of the business, as well as significant wafer capacity as well. This is kind of a high-level picture of where we're going with our modules, and also talks a little bit about what's happening in the module space. The 158 there, that is the 158 cell size, and that yields a output that is in the 405 to 410 range for both a monofacial and a bifacial module. That's going to give you a module that's about 6.5 feet high. And JA, as well as a lot of the market, is transitioning to larger cells, larger modules. The next step there is kind of the S20 or D20 for JA, which is the 166 millimeter cell. That translates into a module output that's in the 450 range. And the next kind of jump after that is the 182 cell size, 182 millimeter, which translates to a module that's 500 watts plus, 520, 525, 530, and we'll start to see those modules roll out in start of 2022 for JA, potentially Q4 of this year. And this represents kind of a change that's happening across the industry. You go back just 5 years, we were all talking about poly modules. That was the dominant product for the commercial, the utility space, even residential. And we saw a shift a few years back to the mono PERC product. JA was the first company to offer mono PERC commercially, globally. And that has transitioned into the dominant technology for the global market and U.S. market. And we're now, we've then seen that translate into from monofacial modules to bifacial modules. It's another change we've seen to half cell modules. And the half cell bifacial product is really become the mainstay product for 2021 into 2022 and beyond for utility segment, and also a large part of the commercial segment. That's going to be the dominant technology going forward. And then we see the size of cells ticking up in the module space as well. So going from a 158 to a 166 to a 182. And the dominant cell size and module sizes going forward are going to be based on the 166 millimeter cell, the 182 millimeter cell, and the 210 millimeter cell. Our feeling is that the dominant technology out of those three is going to be the 182. It's going to kind of hit the sweet spot in terms of module size, module weight, power density. And we'll kind of jump into that here in just a little bit. So quick overview there of where JA is trending on the module side. On the 60 cell side, probably limited interest for the commercial side, but there may still be some commercial rooftop installations out there that have interest. And you can see there that the module trend is also following the 158, 168, 166, 182. And you're going to see product output ranges there from, you know, a 320 to a 340 today, black or white backsheet, to a 375, 380 to touching on a 420, 450 as we head towards 2022 in the 182 product. So first, the 158, that's the current size. That's going to be a 405 watt in a monofacial product. To a 410, it's going to be 400 to a 405 in the bifacial. And what we're starting to see here is, in addition to moving towards a half cell product, which is going to reduce hotspots on the module, you're going to have less shading impact. We're also, the reason that we're seeing efficiency increases is that the the fingers on the modules, the bus bars are getting thinner and smaller, and that means we can put more across the cell for collection. We're moving from a 5 BB to a 9 bus bar cell, ultimately to an 11 bus bar cell as we move forward in the modules. So this is a module where you've got it's about 6.5 high by about 3 feet. You've got a weight that is around 25 kilograms, 30 kilograms, or 55 to 60 pounds, 65 pounds if it's a bifacial. And this is available product today. This is kind of standard technology. We can see this also trend into a 78 cell form factor, which would be even taller, and would get you to the 445, 450 level. But ultimately where JA is trending for second half of this year, and where we see much of the market trending in the interim before the large format modules, is in the 166 cell size. This is still going to be a 72 cell module. This is going to take us to about a 7 feet high module. You're at the 9 bus bars on the cells, and you've got a size that's slightly larger. You've got an output that's going to be in the 450 range, and that'll be kind of the crossroad product, I think, ultimately to the 500 watt plus module, which is the 182 cell basis. The nice thing about the 166 cell is that you can put that into a 72 cell format or a 144 cell format, as we see here with the half cell, and that's going to be equivalent to a 158 smaller cell size in a 78 cell format. So ultimately, this is a more power efficient, better size, better weight dimensions for installation. This is ultimately where we're trending in terms of large format and the new modules that Guillaume was talking about, larger format. It's going to continue to use the mono PERC. This is going to continue to be the dominant kind of standard efficiency product for the US market. It's going to be rolled out across the utility space. It's going to increasing bus bars there, going to 11 BB. Half cell format, available in both monofacial and bifacial. We're going to have a efficiency that's going to range from essentially 20 to 21% on the module side. This is a good slide because it shows where module capacity at the end of 2020 and the end of 2021, and this talks a little bit about what's happening in the module space in terms of product, right? You can see that as at the end of 2020 there, this is the global picture for JA. We were majority 158.75 cell production, the module production, the smaller cell size product. And we can see that trending to the 166 and the 182 millimeter, the larger format products. As we head towards 2021, you see a major shift there to the largely 182 millimeter production. And for JA, where this is going to be happening is primarily in Vietnam. Today, we manufacture our 158 cells in Malaysia. We ship them to Vietnam for manufacturing. Those go to the US market. That manufacturing base is going to shift completely to Vietnam. It's going to be all JA owned from wafer to cell to module. And their overall capacity there is going to shift from 1.3 gigawatts of production shipping to the US market, and specifically for the US market today, to 3.5 gigawatts starting in 2022 annually for the US market. So that says a lot about the growth plans for JA as a company, how we see the US market emerging as a growth market for solar. And you'll see similar capacity expansions kind of coming online with other manufacturers as we go forward. For the US team here, we've worked with a lot of the leading customers, as I said, across the utility, commercial space, and distribution space. We're going to be tripling our capacity. We're going to be able to work with still more customers, more projects across those customers. So it's a big bet for the US market, and where we see things going, but ultimately means more work for us, but more product for the US market. And I think that's a telling sign in both where we see the product trending and where we see capacity trending on where the US market's going. That's a quick summary of Jay's product lineup, where we see things going, how we see it impacting the market. Thanks, Guillaume.
Thanks, Thomas. Very, very good presentation. We have a good amount of time left now for some maybe Q&A sessions. So there are some on the chat that I saw. Want to make sure maybe Ted and Jonah, if I think you've answered them, but there was one on one GridFlex beyond UBuilder and the tilt of GridFlex. So just want to make sure, I know you typed the answer, but I want to make sure maybe you address that question since not everybody may have read the chat.
Yeah, thank you. GridFlex, we're using it internally on UBuilder now. We are waiting for some final structural engineering certificates for UBuilder before we release it publicly. And conservatively, I'd say 2 to 4 weeks for it to be available for anyone to use. The tilt currently is at 5 degree, and 10 degree will be available to install in August, to design 10 degree in April.
Good stuff, good stuff. And so in the meantime, if people have projects, they talk to us at BayWa or directly with you at Unirac or your team at Unirac, correct?
Correct.
I think you said that's correct, but you were
Yes,
muted.
exactly.
That is correct.
In the age of 2020, we become lip readers with you, like don't unmute on time. And there was another question on racking. There's a growth in module size. So I think, Ted, you answered this. You've seen this come in. I mean, I'm sure your R&D team is talking with the panels manufacturers, and you know the lineup, and you have products lined up for it, right? And so
Yeah, I'll let Jonah address this because he's really deeply involved with, what our product offering is and relating to the increased sizes of modules.
Yeah, we are actively working to support those modules. 2 examples. One is GridFlex. This trend was happening as we were going into the wind tunnel study. So we made sure that we're covered for larger lengths as well as widths as far as the wind design. And from a product standpoint, right now we are offering a longer wind deflector for EcoFoot 2 Plus. And we also have a mid support that can be installed as an option at the midspan of the module to support those longer modules, to give actually 6 points of contact per module for the larger form modules.
Good stuff, good stuff. Thomas, there's a question for you. Connector compatibility with SolarEdge optimizers. What should we expect for the US market?
I'm sorry, Guillaume, can you repeat that question?
Oh yeah, will your modules have connectors that are compatible with the SolarEdge optimizers? And so I believe MC4s, right? You're delivering MC4s to the US market?
Yeah, so particularly for the residential space in a 60 cell module, we're only going to bring in modules with MC4 connectors on it. Our standard connector is a QC4 for the larger commercial format, utility format module. But specifically for BayWa, we build those modules with MC4 connectors. So when your customers order their product through BayWa, it comes with a connector that's compatible with SolarEdge.
Good stuff, good stuff. Well, that gives me a good transition. There's a good question from the audience from, I think it was from Emmett, but I don't seem to be able to retrieve it. It was around, let me see if I can retrieve it. I can't see it on the chat, but I saw it pop out at some point. It was around, oh, here we go. What trends are you all seeing? You can recognize the Texans here. Are y'all seeing regarding where solar equipment is manufactured? Maybe Ben and Thomas, maybe you're the most prominent, best answers to answer that question. Ben, you want to take a crack at it?
Yeah, sure. So it's as you saw from the beginning of my presentation, we have almost a half a dozen plants now around the world. We do have a plant in China. It's with a U.S. manufacturing company that has a facility there. We have opened a plant last year in Vietnam. We do have the Sella 1 manufacturing plant in northern Israel, and then a couple of other plants in Europe. And so the concept of the Sella 1 factory in Israel is to create a template that we can then duplicate. So SolarEdge owns that plant. as a SolarEdge facility. It's not a contract manufacturer. And the concept is that we will be able to more rapidly move with plants into other regions as needed. So I don't think there's any other plan at this point to open up another plant, but you know, we're setting the frameworks that we can do that much more rapidly than it would usually take to open up another facility.
Thanks, Ben. Thomas, you want to add some things on the module front, maybe the supply chain, what you see? And
yeah, so for the module side, you know, the dominant production base has been China and South Asia. And for the US market specifically, you know, leading manufacturers move their production bases to South Asia for the US market, kind of based on trade policy in the US. That has continued to be what makes sense for the US market. I think that we've seen dabblings of module production in the US, but for the standard crystalline technology, that has to date made the most sense to manufacture in Asia, and I think that'll be the trend continuing to go forward. I think it's great that this technology can be paired with other equipment that's manufactured in the US, such as the folks that we have on the call here. And, you know, unless we see a change in trade policy, I think that's where we'll continue to see the crystalline modules manufactured.
good stuff, good stuff. Ben, you talked about your new not power plant, new production facility. Does that, so it obviously increases your production capabilities, and that probably sets you up really well for 2021, as you know, we're seeing some tightness in supply for certain rapid shutdown devices. You don't seem to be impacted, or you don't anticipate at the moment to be impacted by that on the commercial side.
Yeah, I mean, I'll caveat by saying I'm not the operations guru from SolarEdge, but I could certainly say from a commercial product point of view for North America, we're in great shape. BayWa has inventory. There's product available. We have increased manufacturing capacity despite COVID and the challenges of last year. So we've actually seen our lead times go down pretty dramatically, and I don't see that trend changing in the near future. I mean, we have planned for and expect a record. I mean, we've heard it from the whole panel here that 2021 will be a record year for C&I in the U.S. And we expected that. We planned for it, and I like to say we were hoping for it, but we like to plan well, so we're waiting for it. We're waiting for it to happen, and we're already starting to see it. Just the way things ended in 2020 in December, and I'm sure you guys are the J Solar team and the Unirac team are seeing the same thing. It's full guns going and full blast in 2021. So.
For sure. Thanks for that. And last quick question before we wrap up, maybe for Ted or Jonah or both of you. Like you have your new product, the GridFlex. What would be the 3 main key reasons why people should check it out and really give a hard look at this solution for rooftop solutions?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest reasons really is going to be for opening up opportunities that are on roofs with a low PSF requirement, where you really cannot add a lot of ballast weight, but also want a ballasted system. So the load sharing offers that. I think that's one. Another is the speed compared to other grid-based systems. So for those that might be real believers in a grid-based system, I think this is a more feature-rich, more pre-assembled, slicker version of that grid-based system. So the speed, and then also just securing your investment, having a really high-end racking component. Racking is a smaller section of the cost per watt of a project, but it really does have a lot to do with the security of your project and maintaining your investment.
Good stuff.
I'd just like to add that you can build the GridFlex before your modules are even lifted to the roof. So you can get your racking completely secure and do some wire management in advance of setting modules.
Nice. In case delivery delays or
Good.
yeah. Okay, so well, it's almost the top of the hour, and I want to make sure to be respectful of everybody's time. Yeah, I wanted to thank you all for coming in, Thomas, Ted, Jonah, and Ben. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak about this. Sounds like it's going to be a killer year after 2020. That was a little bit weird. 2021, hopeful that we're going to be doing great things, right, Ben, with your new product rollouts and ample availability. You're well set up to serve the U.S. market, and if we pair it with the JA solar modules, it's a winning combination. Thomas, you're going to lead, and I believe your entity with the supply you have lined up and your capacity in cell manufacturing, you're going to lead the change on larger footprint modules. And hey, could we pair all that with the GridFlex system, right? It's faster. It opens up a new roof, so it lowers the cost of energy. It's really cool to have you on board, and thank you for participating.
Thanks, Guillaume.
Thank you.
Awesome.